Not even close.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That wasn't even a competitive effort. That was terrible. What else do you want me to say? Syracuse basketball loses to Tennessee on the road, the number 3 team in the nation, 96-70 in the ACC SEC Challenge. I'm Jackson Holzer. This is Locked On Syracuse, and thank you so much for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And on this post-game reaction, we are going to try to break down what went wrong for this team in a 26-point drubbing at Tennessee. And look, I'm not unrealistic. Did I expect Syracuse to win the game? I did not. I didn't. I know the point spread. Syracuse doesn't have their best player. That's J.J. Starling. He broke his left hand in practice yesterday. We talked about it earlier in the day on the podcast. Obviously, it wasn't good. He's their leading scorer. He's their best player. They don't have J.J. Starling. But it wasn't even close. It wasn't a fair fight. It looked like Syracuse was a high school team. And that is what we did on Tuesday night watching this game. We watched that. A 26-point loss. Before we get to everything, we're going to talk about the game being over at halftime. We're going to start calling out some players because this is just not good. It's not good enough at Syracuse. Maybe at other schools, not Syracuse. And also, is a disaster coming? Is this season just going to be really that bad? Are we overreacting to just one game and saying it's Tennessee? Well, that's coming up later on in the show. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. There are 3 players who are going to escape criticism. Okay? I want to start off with the one player who is actually showing a morsel of life. The only guy who's actually having success right now. The only one on the floor who I actually want to be on the floor. Who, when he has the ball, I expect good things to happen. And that is Choppa Moore. Choppa Moore tonight was terrific for Syracuse. Absolutely terrific. 24 points, 8 of 12 from the field, 3 of 6 3-point, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, and he played 30 minutes. What else do you want? And by the way, he should be in the starting lineup, not Lucas Taylor. That's on coaching. So Choppa Moore, he's not getting criticized. He's a 4-star true freshman who had a great game, and he was good last game as well. It really seems like he's growing. At least we got some sort of optimism, some sort of hope with him. Hopefully he can stick around with us so we can actually see it. The other 2 players, they're hurt. J.J. Starling, as I mentioned, he broke his hand in practice yesterday. He didn't play today. He's out indefinitely. And he's their leading scorer. I can't criticize him. He's not playing. Eddie Lampkin. I'm going to give Eddie Lampkin a break. That's right. You know why? He's playing with a bad back. He's got a back injury. And he's a 6'11 center going up against one of the most physical teams in the country in Tennessee. So he's going to get a pass. At least he's trying to play. Now, maybe the coaches should probably not play him as much if they don't feel that he can be a difference maker that we know he can be. But I have to commend him for the toughness that he's showing, for actually being on the floor. So Eddie Lampkin is getting a pass. I'm not going to criticize him tonight. And look, I didn't expect Syracuse to win. I really didn't. But what we watched is just unacceptable by the Syracuse standard. And we will get to the Syracuse standard later on in the show. This game, okay, I'll summarize it for you. It was over at halftime. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, Jackson, I mean, like it was a 10-point game at halftime. How did you know it was over? I'll tell you how I knew it was over, okay? As I readjust myself right now. Imagine Syracuse basketball making adjustments. Couldn't be them. The following stats in the first half. Syracuse shot 56% from the field. Tennessee, 47%. Three-point percentage. Syracuse, 44%. Tennessee, 13%. So let me summarize that for you. Tennessee was a little bit cold. Syracuse, even without J.J. Starling in the first half, they were hot. They were actually hitting their shots. Isn't that kind of hard to believe? They were kind of hot. And Tennessee kind of cold. You caught them on a little bit of an off half, an off night maybe. Chaz Lanier, a star for Tennessee. He is one of the best three-point shooters in the nation. In the first half, he's 0 for 5 from the three-point line. He's 0 for 5. Chaz Lanier is one of those guys where he could take over a game in the span of a few minutes. He can effectively end the game in a few minutes because he can go on a personal 12-0 run. He can hit 4 threes in 5 minutes and end the game. But he's 0 for 5 in the first half. You're hot. They're cold. Their best player, Chaz Lanier, is cold. And yet, you're down by 10 points at half. You're down 45-35. It's just not sustainable. Now, how are they even down 10 points? How is that even remotely possible? How are you down 10 points when you shoot 56% in a half? I'll tell you how. Why did Syracuse lose? Sorry, guys, we got to talk about it. Free throws. We got to talk about it. Shout out Brent Axe. Free throws matter, and they matter again. And we'll get to the big misses in the second segment when we talk about Chris Bell. Oh boy, I'm at my wit's end with him. Free throws, first half. Syracuse, 3 of 10. I don't care what Tennessee was from the free throw line. It doesn't matter to me because there's no such thing as free throw defense. No such thing. It's a free throw. They're free points. All you got to do is make a shot. A shot that even you and I can make. I can't make it at a 3 of 10 clip, but I'm also not playing Division I basketball. It's not my job. But I can promise you, if I stepped on a Division I floor and you asked me to take 10 free throws, I could probably make 1. Maybe even 2 if I'm lucky. But again, it's not my job. I'm a podcast host. You're 3 of 10 from the free throw line. Against a team like Tennessee on the road, even if you make 7 of them, which is not good, 7 of 10, you're down by 6. Offensive rebounds. In the first half, 7-0 Tennessee. Oof. Second chance points, 12-0 Tennessee. Their half-court defense in the first half, at times, it actually looked pretty good. But it didn't bleeping matter because they weren't. And Tennessee was getting second chance points. It's hard to defend for a long period of time. And they didn't have a lot of turnovers in the first half. They only had 5 turnovers. It's not an egregious amount. You can talk about mistakes, but only 5 for an entire half is actually pretty good. But Tennessee, their first 8 points of the game came off turnovers. First 8. The odds of you winning this game are already low. You're giving this team second, third, and fourth chances. You're not boxing out your man. You're not even going to be competitive. And that's what happened tonight. That's why I knew the game was over by halftime, because they're down 10 points when really what it should have been, that was Syracuse's chance to be like, we're only down 3 at the half, or we're only down 2, or dare I say even up at the half. That was their shot. They probably weren't going to win anyway. I admit that. But based on the percentages of how they were shooting and how you were shooting as a team, you should be down by less than 10. You should be down by less than 5. Dare I say you should be winning the game, but you're not winning the game because you're not boxing out and you're not hitting your free throws. What do you want me to tell you? Just a ugh, you kind of just want to flush that game down the toilet like it never happened. What's that movie out there with the aliens and Will Smith? They had the clicker thing that erases your memory. I wish that game didn't happen. I wish you can just erase it like I didn't watch it, but unfortunately I did. And it's my job to. And I will watch every game. I will watch every game. Win, lose, draw. It was bad. It was bad tonight. I'm Jackson Holzer. This is Locked On Syracuse. I just told you that the game was basically over at the half. And coming up, yeah, we got to start talking about some players. And we got to talk about Chris Bell in particular because I'm at my wit's end. Basketball season is in full swing, whether it's the NBA or college like Syracuse. Going to basketball games is typically exciting. If you were a Tennessee fan, it was certainly exciting to go to the game tonight. If you're a Syracuse fan, it wasn't so much exciting. But hey, the experience of going to a game is still unmatched. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're good or bad. Going to a game is usually an awesome experience. The way I get tickets for going to games is by using Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. My favorite feature is the curated deals. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, whatever you would like. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, folks. This is the part of the podcast where I'm going to go through some of these players on this team. And later on, we'll get to Coach Autry in the third segment. But we're going to go through some of these players, and I'm going to do something that I genuinely don't like doing. Okay, I don't love criticizing players. I don't. And quick disclaimer, I know they're amazing athletes. And I know that for the most part, they're awesome human beings. Okay? But we got to be real. We're talking about Division I basketball here. And we got to criticize some of them. I'm losing my patience for Chris Bell. I really am. Because I have been not a Chris Bell apologist, but I have been trying to defend Chris Bell for basically the entire season. I have been trying. I'm doing my best because we know what he can't do already. We already know what he can't do. We know that every game he's not going to play the greatest defense. We know that he's going to have moments where he just doesn't box out his man, which especially hurts you in a game against Tennessee. We know that he's due for at least one or two dumb plays on offense, dumb turnovers. We know that. It's just, that's what you get with Chris Bell. Okay? We understand that. But the thing that I have always been saying about him is, well, he can shoot. He can shoot the basketball at a very high level. Last season, he shot 42% from the three-point line. That was second in the ACC. The three-point shot is the great equalizer in basketball. It doesn't matter. It's why upsets oftentimes happen. How come this team upset this team? Well, look at the three-point shots made. Look at it. The one that I always reference here on the podcast, if you're a new listener or a new watcher, new viewer, the one that I always mention is last year, Kentucky versus Oakland in the round of 64 of the NCAA tournament. Jack Gokey hits 10 threes for Oakland, and they upset Kentucky. They had no business winning that game, but a guy hits 10 threes, and that's just what happens. And Chris Bell is one of those players, in theory, at least from last season when he shot 42%, that he can take over a game. I've seen him do it. He hit 8 3-pointers in a half against NC State last year. 8 of them. And Syracuse won that game on the road. It was a good win for the Orange last year. But I'm at my wit's end with him. And the moment that occurred was at the end of the first half. He gets fouled on a left corner three, nearly makes it a 4-point play. It almost went in, but it misses. Fine, you're fouled. and he goes to the free throw line. He's got a chance to, they're down 10. He's got a chance to make it a 7-point game. He misses all 3 free throws. All of them. My dad was watching the game with me. At this point, he gets up and he goes to walk my dog. He got up at the moment when Chris Bell was fouled and was going to the free throw line. He comes back about 10 minutes later and he asked me, Jackson, what did Chris Bell do at the free throw line? I said that he missed all 3 free throws. And he said, get out of here. And I said, really? He missed all 3 free throws. And that was the moment where I'm like, I'm really losing it. I'm losing it with Chris Bell because I already know what he can't do. But if he's not shooting well, he is useless. If he's not shooting, he can't be on the floor. Tonight, he's 2 of 6 from 3-point. Another game where he's not shooting the ball well from deep. It's been all season long. When is he going to get hot? I know what he can't do. But if the one thing that he can do, he's not doing well, then what good is he? And when he missed those free throws, I threw my arms up in the air and said, I don't know how I keep defending him. So I hope that by me ripping him a new one on this podcast, it's going to wake him up. This team needs Chris Bell. They need him. JJ Starling is out indefinitely. He's not coming back for a while, guys. He broke his left hand. Choppa Moore can only do so much. The other players in this team can only do so much. Chris Bell needs to be one of the leading scorers of this team. If he's 2 of 6 from the 3-point line and not hitting free throws when he's got 3 attempts to do it, to make it maybe a 7-point game, I'm sorry. What good is he? I hope that this wakes him up. We can talk about other players. Donnie Freeman, can you stop taking jump shots? Please. You are so much better when you go to the rim. So much. But that jump shot's not falling right now. At what point does he get coached? At what point does Adrian Autry say go to the basket? Hello? Coaching? Hello? Also, I want to talk about the technical foul he committed. I get that I forgot who it was on Tennessee. I get that he got shoved. It was at the end of the first half, or it was in the first half. I don't remember what time it was, but he got shoved. And he shoved back. Donnie, I love him being physical. But do it over the course of play. Do it during the game. Be physical by playing within the rules. Don't get yourself a tech. I don't care that on replay, you can clearly see that maybe the retaliation was justified. And maybe you disagree with me, and you can let me know in the comments section below, like, oh, you're happy he's showing fight. I guess I can listen to that argument, but that's undisciplined right there. You want to get back at a player for shoving you in a dirty way? Go dunk on him. How about that? Do that. Play within the rules, Donnie. And I think he acknowledged that. So I don't want to rip him too much for it. I think he acknowledged the broadcast was saying right away that he kind of like went to Autry and said, I'm good. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. Donnie, please don't do it again. I mean, Jaquan Carlos played 37 minutes tonight. I can't even criticize Carlos too much for that because that's on coaching. How does he play 37 minutes? Oh my goodness. 37 minutes for Jaquan Carlos? I mean, the job of a coach is to put your players in the best position to succeed. Playing a guy like Jaquan Carlos, who he's just not had a good year. He is nowhere near the player we thought he could be. You're playing him 37 minutes? I don't care if JJ Starling was Wilt Chamberlain and he's out. He can't play 37 minutes. He would have played all 40 if this game was remotely close. That can't happen. I mean, Lucas Taylor can't be starting. When JJ Starling was announced that he was going to be out for a while, I was like, oh, Choppa Moore's going to start, right? Wrong. Adrian Autry starts Lucas Taylor, who he can be a good defender at times, but he doesn't give you much offense. He's someone who can come off the bench and be pretty productive, but in 15 minutes, he takes one shot and he's 0 for 1. Jair Davis. The only time I saw Jair Davis on the floor tonight was when he was routinely getting beat on the glass by his man, whatever it was. That was the only time I ever saw him on the floor. And he's supposed to be able to handle these big physical teams. He was a monster in Brooklyn. But he did not have it tonight. Everyone else, I'm just not going to waste my breath on ripping them because they're not good enough to be ripped. I don't care enough to do it. And we only have 30 minutes, give or take, on this podcast. I can't go through every single player here. That was a disgrace. I still can't think of that movie. Please leave a comment in the comment section below, that movie where you can just erase your memory. It's with the aliens and Will Smith. It's driving me bananas. It's driving me more bananas than the actual game itself now. Anyway, I'm Jackson Holzer. This is Locked On Syracuse. Don't worry. There's still plenty to come here on this podcast because coming up is a disaster incoming for Syracuse basketball this season. Let's talk about it. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Syracuse basketball, for those that are interested, they did not cover the spread at Tennessee tonight. They were 20.5-point dogs. I saw even higher than that on maybe it was FanDuel or other sportsbooks. Regardless, on FanDuel, they were 20.5-point underdogs. They did not cover. They lost 96-70. It was a crazy spread, and even Syracuse couldn't cover it. But if you bet Tennessee, I guess good on you. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So this was the first game of the season where Syracuse basketball just got absolutely smoked. They lose at Tennessee 96-70. It wasn't close. In fact, I would say the score is probably underselling how much of a domination it was from Tennessee in this one from start to finish. Is this season going to be a disaster? Leave a comment in the comment section below, and I think everyone has a different definition of a disaster. For me, because of the new rule changes, the fact that there's 17 ACC teams and the fact that only 14 now make the conference tournament, a disaster for me would be not making the ACC tournament. See, it used to be, no matter how bad you were in the regular season, all you had to do is just win 5 games in 5 days and you're in the dance. It was the dumbest system. It's still the dumbest system in the world. Okay? The fact that just a whole regular season doesn't matter as long as you can win 5 games in 5 days. But that's besides the point. At least now, the ACC has kind of caught on to my thinking of how stupid that is. So you're at least playing for a little bit of something in the regular season where you got to be at least top 14 in your league. 14 out of 17 make the conference tournament, not all 17. So a disaster for me would be if you're 15th, 16th, or 17th in the conference. You are bottom 3. Is that going to occur for Syracuse basketball this season? We're 7 games in. This is the first time they were really blown out. Every other game this year, they have been in the game for better or worse. They were in the game against Texas. They were in the game against Texas Tech. They could have won both those games. And my goodness, the season outlook is completely different if they win those games. But they lost. They were close, but they lost. And in their 4 wins against, known powers like Lemoyne and Youngstown State and Colgate and Cornell, they're like surviving them. It's like survive and advance with NC State in 1983, except they're playing against, who they're playing against, not good teams. Now, I don't want to put Adrian Autry on the hot seat because we're 7 games into the year, and I'm seeing a lot of discourse online. I see it. We got to fire Autry. We got to do this. We got to do that. Look, okay, 7 games in. It's his second season in Syracuse. And in theory, it's not going to happen. But in theory, if Syracuse wins 10 straight games from now, then, we're going to all love Adrian Autry. But how bad does it have to get? How bad does it have to get here? Is he going to get year 3 no matter what? Is he? And I get he's got a great recruiting class coming in. I get it. He's got a really good class. Kyan Anthony. Sadiq White's actually a higher rated recruit than Kyan Anthony, but both are excellent. Luke Fennell, Aaron Womack. It's a really good class in 2025 coming in that can help this team. But this is the question we got to ask. And thank you for making it to this point of the podcast so you can actually hear the question that I'm going to propose to you right now. Because this is what we got to talk about and the question that we got to answer regarding Adrian Autry. It's not, is he a good coach? It's not, is he a good recruiter? This is the question. Is Adrian Autry the next head coach of Syracuse basketball that can get this program to the Final Four? I'll repeat myself. Is Adrian Autry the next head coach that can get Syracuse basketball to the Final Four? That is the question that you need to ask and answer yourself. I'm not going to answer it for you yet. You probably want my opinion on it. You could probably infer from this podcast how I feel. Excuse me. Maybe that was a Freudian slip right there. Fear. But that's the question. Is Adrian Autry the next head coach of Syracuse basketball that's going to get them to the Final Four? Because that's the standard. That's the standard of Syracuse basketball, guys. And I know it's fallen over the years. I know. I'm not naive. I started covering Syracuse in 2020. I was a freshman at Newhouse. They went to the Sweet 16 that season. And since then, no tournament. Right? Probably no tournament this year. How bad does it have to get? Is he the next head coach of Syracuse basketball that's going to get them to the Final Four? That's the question. Let's compare the football and the basketball programs, guys. The football program, they're trying to up the standard. They're trying to go from a team that every year you're just hoping makes a bowl to, no, we want to make noise. That's what they're trying to do. They want to make noise now. Enough is enough with maybe we'll win 6 games. No, that's not what they want to do anymore. They want to be a real college football team. And Fran Brown, I have been praising him for a while now because he's doing it. That team is going up and up and up, and you should buy stock into Syracuse football. The standard is rising. But with Syracuse basketball, what are they trying to do? In theory, they're trying to get back to the standard, which is make the Final Four. That's what it used to be, or at bare minimum, be a high seed in the NCAA tournament and make a run. But it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Is Adrian Autry the guy? Is he the guy that's going to get them back to the standard? Is he? For my younger audience out there, and I'm a young guy included here, it's been, we were little the last time that this was an elite basketball program. But for my older audience, for my adults that watch this podcast, that listen to this podcast, and I thank you all so much. You guys remember? You guys remember it? You remember the days when they would play Lemoyne on a Tuesday night early in the season and they would win by 40. You remember the nights where they would go to the number 3 team in the country and just go toe-to-toe with them on the road. Maybe they would lose. I mean, it's not like they wouldn't ever lose games. And sometimes they probably would get blown out. It happens. When was the last time that Syracuse basketball had a road win against a ranked team? It's been forever. I think it was against Virginia in 2019. We got to get back to the standard here at Syracuse. As far as what is coming up on the podcast going forward, tomorrow morning, I got to release the episode in the morning. We're going over a player that Syracuse football needs to get in the transfer portal. And the reason why is because it might be a 2-for-1 deal. You could be getting an elite high school recruit on top of that. So that's what's coming up tomorrow. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this video, click that like button. If you really liked it, subscribe to the channel. Turn on those notifications so you know right away when I drop the next podcast. And we'll see you all tomorrow morning.